Hi ladies, welcome back to my channel. So today is actually the same day that I recorded the last story time, but I put a wig on and changed my outfit to just spice things up for you guys a little bit, I guess. And I changed my lip color, so yeah. Okay, so thank you so much for everybody who recommended that I try Pat McGrath, his beauty line. So I'm now using his foundation. I'm wearing it today, and this, I'm in the shade medium 18, so that's the shade that I'm in, and I love this stuff. I also bought his translucent powder, and I'm in the shade, well, I got the shade light medium too, and I really love this stuff. It's so nice to have like this is, for me, I feel like it's better quality than NARS on my skin, so it just works better with me than NARS did. But my skin is very it doesn't even matter. Basically, my skin works well with a certain product for a while, and then it hates it and I have to find something new. That happens all the time, so I'm trying this for now and then we'll see what happens next time. But thank you for your recommendations, I love it. Literally not wearing a bra. Okay, so today's story time is something that actually happened to me 2 days ago. I went on a date with somebody, another person who I met on Tinder, and it went down. It spiraled out of control, and then it went all the way to the left, and it was crazy. It was actually crazy. So here goes. It was lockdown here, and for like the past week I've been talking to somebody on Tinder, and we're just going to call this guy Alex. By the way, I did not put my wig down, so if you see it flipping, you know, dancing, saying hello, whatever, just ignore that thing and just concentrate over here, okay, on what I'm saying. So me and Alex were speaking for about a week. We moved over onto WhatsApp. That's like the standard step every guy wants to do. They get you on Tinder, honey, then they want to get your number, get you on WhatsApp, honey, then they want to get you on that date. So it's a progression, and they all do the exact same thing. So you already know what's going to happen before they know. So, well, most situations. So we are talking now on WhatsApp. Lockdown has lifted, so no, not the lockdown has lifted, sorry, yeah, lockdown, we were out of lockdown, we were going back into second lockdown that we're in right now. So literally we pushed our date up a couple of days, just because the date that we had arranged to have was actually supposed to be today, but we had to move it up to Tuesday because lockdown started yesterday, which was Wednesday. So we moved our date up, and I had to like move a couple of things around as well. It wasn't even like I was like fully just well, I didn't really have to move things around. The only thing I had to do was I was really watching something and it was really good. So yeah, I take my own advice, and I like to try and go on these dates more than like watching series and stuff on Netflix. So I said to myself, look, I don't really have plans, let me just go out with this man today. He's practically begging me, and I mean literally practically begging me, so let me just go on this little date and knock that one out the park like I knock most of them out the park. He's like, you know what, there aren't that many places available, seeing as it's like the last night of like of freedom before lockdown happened, so everybody must have been booking to go out to eat, and he couldn't take me to the restaurant that he wanted to take me to, so we ended up going to another restaurant. apparently he said it was Michelin, it had a Michelin star, like 1 Michelin star, and it was in an area that I really do not like going to. It was more in the city, so I like to go to Chelsea, Mayfair and Knightsbridge, and you know, South Kensington, and that's literally it. I don't like going anywhere else. So he recommended this place that is called South Place Hotel, and it's in Moorgate, so it's really in the city. And I was just over it. So as soon as I heard that, I was going to say, oh, you know what, I can't go, something's come up, but I thought, no, I'm still going to go. You know, I'm just being, you know, a bit bratty or something. So I said, okay, fine, you know, whatever. So I still went, and that was solely because there were limited spaces or places to go, because everybody was trying to be out for the last night of freedom. So we got to, you know, well, I got there, I was about 10 minutes late, and he met me downstairs, and we met at the bar. We had a drink first. You know, Bellini's like my fave. I had a Bellini, and he had, this was a red flag, okay, because he said, oh, to the waiter, do you guys have beer? Beer? Oh, Homer Simpson beers. Okay, honey. So he ordered himself a beer. Now, I cannot remember the last time I have been out on a date with a man and he has ordered a beer. So since I've been dating a certain caliber of men, I have never had one actually order beer. So that to me was just a red flag, and I was like, ding 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 in my mind. And honestly, like, that just didn't make any sense to me, but neither did his diction. So he was actually from Essex. No shade.
No shade. Yeah. I'm gonna pass the peach.
But the guys who I'm usually dating are just like more well spoken, to be fair, and it was just something completely different. Like, I did hear his voice on a voice note, but it was kind of like noisy as well where he was, and I wasn't 100% sure if like what was going on with his voice, but basically he's not the type that I go for. This guy was from Essex, didn't have the diction that I like, and he's now ordering himself beers, okay, like he's down his local pub watching the footy with his friends, with the lads. So I said to myself, okay, red flag. So then it's time for us. So we spent about, you know, I was about 10 minutes late, so we spent about 20 minutes downstairs, 25 minutes, having our drink and everything, and then it was time for us to actually go upstairs to the restaurant. Now, in that time while we were having that drink, everything was fine. You know, he was being talkative, he was leading the conversation. I could tell that he was a tiny bit nervous as well, actually, but he was still leading the conversation. He took about 5 minutes to compliment me on how I look, by the way, which is actually another red flag. Usually that's kind of like instantaneous, and this guy, it took him forever. It's like, can you not see what's going on in front of you? So that was crazy. That was interesting. But I just mentally noted it, and it's like, okay, we're at like 4 or 5 red flags at this point, but I'm still sitting there on that date. We get into the lift and we go upstairs to the level of the restaurant, and we speak to, you know, the receptionist, and she takes us to our table, and we are opposite each other at this table, and it's quite a large, like, square table, so you cannot be tactile in any way, shape or form, okay? We were in a seafood restaurant, okay, and naturally you're going to choose white wine to go with like fish, seafood and all of that, but he only really knew red wine. So, and he really seemed to want red wine, and he felt uncomfortable because other people, I think it was because of other people may feel like it's weird and like he doesn't know what he's doing if we get red wine instead of white. Nobody else cares what we're doing. But that was another red flag. So I said to myself, this guy is way too sensitive. We can have red as long as it's not overpowering. I actually prefer red, so like who cares? So we actually did end up ordering a red wine. He didn't recommend it. He didn't know which out of the wine list to actually try from, so we had to ask for help from the waitress, and she recommended one which was actually really nice, but I can't remember the name of it now. And so we had first glass of red, okay, and we're drinking that. We had bread, and then the food started coming out. So it was a seven course? It was a 7-course meal, because there was basically only one. There were 2 options, but they were both tasting menus. So there was one that was for 5 courses, and there was one that was for 7. So we had the 7-course taster meal, and it was really, really nice. Like, the food was really, really good. Especially the tartar was my favorite. There was like a crab tartar, and also so I had so many things that I really, really loved. It was like this thing that I really cannot explain, but it was basically like a pastry with like caramelized onions and stuff, and it was so nice. So, and like parmesan, it was really yummy. But the food was great, the conversation was okay, and then we got to an interesting part of the conversation. So he started mentioning how he has 2 types. I guess really technically he has 3 types, because he explained 3 completely different women to me. So one of his types is like a Mediterranean look, so olive skinned, dark brown hair. The other type that he has are black women. So he liked black women, and he made it very clear that his last girlfriend, the last person he was seeing, which was not it wasn't that long ago, it was about a year ago, for a couple of years they were like living together and everything, she was black. So her family background was, they were from Grenada, but she was actually born in the UK. So he wanted to make that very clear. But his other type, which he was really making clear, was that he loves mixed race women. So he's like, you're my type, you're my type, you're my type. That's basically what he was saying, and it was just like, calm down. And he was like, oh, where are you from? This is from downstairs. He was asking me what my background is and everything, which I don't mind, but I think it's distasteful really when you first meet somebody to just ask them where they're from. Like, for me, that just seems very weird. So that was another red flag, but I just think it's distasteful. So he told me that basically, in essence, I'm his type, and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, like, that's cute. And then he was fishing around to see if he is my type, and I realized right then and there, guys, that I was on a date with a woman. That's what I realized right then and there. So, I gave him what he wanted, and I did the ego boosting. And I said, oh my gosh, that's my type, great. I just said he was my type, even though, like, he isn't. So I decided to ego boost, and I told him that he was my type. That's what I told him, okay? And I just pumped him up with all of that ego boosting. So he's like, oh yeah, long story short, he liked it. The conversation kept on flowing, and then we got to the point where we realized that he actually has some type of like epilepsy. That's what he had, and which meant that he cannot drive, so he doesn't have a car, naturally, because it would be dangerous for him to drive if he has a seizure or something. So that makes sense. But I can't be slamming it on public transport all the time. Like, if we're seeing each other, like, and you don't have a driver, he doesn't have a driver, he actually got the train in, I'm just like, this is mental to me. So now we don't have a car, we don't even have a driver, we didn't even get an Uber here, like, we got the train. I'm just like, okay. I don't think he has the money that I need him to be having. So we got talking more, and he was trying to like pry into my work and what I do so much. Then I turned it back on him, and I was asking him about his job. Guys, he literally told me what he did without telling me. So I asked questions and asked questions because I wanted to know what is really going on with this guy. What he told me before seemed like he may have money, and then it just seemed like, are you a sales guy? A sales guy. Hello, investment bank, would you like to purchase this software? Yeah. In essence, that's what he does. So getting down to the nitty gritty, I realized that that's what it is. So when he told me initially about investment bank and yada yada, oh, okay. So that's a big difference. There's a big difference with what he does. Sales guy, investment bank, and being an investment banker, or being some type of regional manager in an investment bank or something like that, is entirely different to what the heck he's doing. So right then and there I said to myself, ooh, you've really made a mess of this, haven't you? So I was already over the whole situation, and then we still had a couple of more courses to go, so we're still having decent conversation. So then it's time for us to actually get out of the restaurant. We were the last people in there because we were a tiny bit late, and I don't know, everybody just seemed to have left and we were the last people there. So we had to, sorry guys, but I just need to fix this thing. Okay, and he paid the bill and we went downstairs. Okay, so then we were outside and he says, oh, so what are you going to do now? I said, well, I need to call myself a car. And he offered to give me the money for the car. So he said, oh, you know, how much roughly is it for you to get it? So I was going to get like a black cab, and I said, oh, you know, it's around X amount. So he gave me that money in my hand, so I had that. Okay, and then next thing I knew, this man's kissing me. Okay, and I'm practically backed up onto a wall in the street, and this man's attacking my face. I'm sorry, I have a problem with that. So I just said, look, and I pushed him off. I said, that's enough, you know. And he said, oh, you know, but we had so much chemistry, it seemed like, in the restaurant, da da da. And he started coming in again. I said seriously, I said, you know, dinner doesn't equal all of that. I said, you've just kissed me once. I said, you know, we've had a nice night, let's kind of like leave it there. Guys, he was coming again, and I'm backed up into a corner over here. So then he's coming again. I'm like, oh no, calm down, you know. It's like every time I'm telling him to calm down, it's amping him up and amping him up. I'm practically having to like squeeze out of that situation, out of the, you know, the corner that I'm backed up in, and I end up like, I just started walking off. And so he's like walking by me, and because, you know, I needed to get to the main road to get my black cab, to like hail a cab or whatever. He's walking with me, and he basically says, look, I had such a nice time with you. I thought that the kisses would have been a lot more, like, had a lot more chemistry and be a lot more amazing than they were just now. I said, that's because of the situation. I said, look, I was backed up into a wall and I was not even kissing you back, so it wouldn't be passionate, would it? I said, look, I need to get my car, and that's it, okay? So at this point, guys, I was actually annoyed. He is there talking to me, bitching in my ear, and honestly still complaining about the kisses and everything. So I just said to him, look, you know, you are too much work for me. And he walked off. So it was 11:15, 11:20 at night, and I'm standing outside by myself, waiting for a cab. and honestly I didn't even see one go by. I had to go on my app and order one online. I use the app, you know, like free now, so I just ordered myself one and it came luckily within like 3 or 4 minutes, because I'm standing outside 11 by myself. Like it was just crazy. Okay, and obviously I'd been drinking. I had 4 drinks. Okay, when I realized that I wasn't interested, it was like, okay, just it doesn't matter anymore, does it? Then he sent me a message when I got through the door. He sent me a message and he basically, I haven't opened his messages. This is what I do. When you're done, you're just done. So I don't open your messages anymore, and you're Casper the Ghost. So I did see some of it, you know, like when the notification pops up and it basically said, look, something about, there were 4 messages, by the way, something about you know, no passionate kisses. This guy's obsessed with like kisses or something, and how he's assuming because of the way that I kind of was being towards him that we are not going to meet again. Guys, yes, you assumed correctly, sir. Okay, it's not going to happen because you're not who I date. Okay, you're not who I typically date, and I haven't responded back to him and I never will. But at the end of the day, at least I got my cab fare. I got my my cab fare. So at least cab fare, had a night out, the last night of freedom. I had that out as well, and I had delicious food, so, and really good wine. The Bellini was good, the espresso martini was, everything was great besides my date. So all in all, it was fine, and a learning curve nonetheless, and a funny story time to tell you girls. So worked out okay in the end, I guess. But I'm going to love you guys and leave you here, and I'll see you in the next one.